welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be diving straight into my top tips as a mama, registered nurse, birth, postpartum doula, antenatal educator and hypnobirthing instructor for how you can calm an upset, fussy, crying baby. We all know that parenting is hard at the best of times, but it's made even harder when your baby is unsettled or upset. So I'm going to give you my top tips for how to soothe a crying baby. So far, I have not met a baby who I have not been able to soothe, so I'm really curious to see how you get on with these tips. Make sure and let me know what your favorite ones are in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, make sure and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my future videos. So one of the first things that I would say is that it's very, very normal for your baby to cry at some points or other. And actually what they're doing is they're using that as their language. That is their way of telling you that something is wrong. Whether it's they are cold, they're hungry, they just want to be held for warmth and reassurance, they've got a wet or dirty nappy, all of these different things they use by crying to tell you what's going on. They can't do these things themselves. So really kind of coming back to basics and just tuning in and listening to what their different cries are can help you to decipher what's going on with them. It also might be helpful for you to maybe keep a diary or download an app in those early days to figure out and kind of outrule some of those major ones. So when it comes to some of the other reasons that your baby might be crying, it can be down to wind, it can be down to maybe a slight little bit of reflux where the stomach contents come back up a little bit. Very, very normal and does tend to resolve over kind of the first 4 months or so of life. It's where the little flap that keeps all of their tummy contents down low is still quite flaccid and open. And so what happens is they're kind of jostled a little bit, or you maybe go to change their nappy very soon after a feed. That little bit of stomach contents comes back up, and the acid that comes with the tummy contents can be a little bit unsettling or sore. Generally speaking, when you talk about reflux, unless your baby is losing excessive weight or is incredibly unsettled, it's much easier to ease these things by keeping your baby sort of reasonably upright after feeds and during feeds, avoiding things like excess caffeine, smoking in the household, and for some babies, avoiding, if you're breastfeeding your baby, if you are avoiding things like dairy and soy, but making sure that you are working with an IBCLC and your GP or your pediatrician before you go cutting big food groups out of your diet or changing your baby's formula for that matter. So I digress. Winding, I'm going to do a whole separate video on babies who are taking in a lot of wind, what you can do to reduce that, and also what you can do to help them bring that wind up or help them get the wind out the other end if that's what's going on with your baby. But for the most part, it's down to just reassurance, hunger. Babies are much happier when they want to be held, particularly for those first few months and weeks. So coming back to the basics and just giving yourself the grace to do much less in terms of household stuff, and do a lot more kind of just snuggling with your baby and feeling okay with that, and seeing what you can do to kind of make your life easier around that will make for a much happier baby. So the first one is actually the first kind of tip, I suppose, in terms of my baby's unsettled, what can I do, is actually a way of holding your baby. So while the guidance for sleep is always lay your baby back to sleep, our babies actually prefer to be not only on their side, but also to have gentle pressure on their bellies. So if you are able to snuggle your baby, if you're able to hold your baby in a way that they have gentle pressure on their fronts, you can help them to kind of regulate themselves back down again. Our job as parents is to help them regulate. So we are co-regulating in those first few days, weeks, and even months. I know it took a long time for my babies to be able to kind of find their sweet spot without my assistance and without my help, and it's not something that I had trouble doing because I knew that was very normal. But if no one has told you that before, babies just want to be held for the first while. So bearing that in mind, this particular pose or this particular idea of having your baby on their side, which coincidentally is one of the 5 S's from a doctor whose name I've completely forgotten, but I will make sure and share that kind of research article down below. But you can think about how you can incorporate that sort of side lying position. So having your baby across you like this, where they are sort of, up in that almost an upright position, but their chest is on your chest. You can kind of do rocking, shushing, all of those things incorporated. Also a tiger in the tree position. So in this position, your arm is coming kind of across your baby's body here and here. And you can have them sort of supported at the chin and neck, but they've got that nice weight on here, so you can have them facing down literally like a tiger in a tree, and you can bring this around your baby then to just all of the things that you need to be doing to help your baby calm down. So that is the tiger in the tree pose, or having your baby kind of up a little bit further, once they're over your shoulder like that, or down obviously on your chest, and you can pair that with a little bit of skin to skin time. Skin to skin is really wonderful for regulating your baby as well. Not only does it help to kind of balance blood sugar levels and their temperature for thermoregulation, but it also helps your baby to release hormones in them and hormones in you to help get breastfeeding off to the best start. So always coming back to the basics of skin to skin. I even use it now with my babies that are a bit poorly. We come back to skin or if we're very unsettled after their vaccines or whatever. So that's another of my favorites. The next one is actually using shushing, so sound. One of the things that we kind of easily forget is that our babies are not in utter silence when they're in the womb. In fact, it's really quite loud in there because they're right up against those main arteries, so they've got that constant shh, shh, shh. It's almost like being right up against the waves of the sea. So it's quite a loud sound. So when they come out into the world then and things are a little bit more quiet, it's almost more difficult for them to settle themselves and for them to go to sleep. So by mimicking that womb-like environment, you want to be either using your own voice to sort of shush right up into baby's ear. So if you're holding them and you're holding them in this position, say, you can be shh, shh, or you can download a white noise app. There's like several hours on YouTube that you can use. White noise or brown noise works really nicely for some babies, or you can actually buy a device like the Hatch Baby or the Shusher, that are really, really awesome ways for you to be able to incorporate white noise to help your baby calm down. Oftentimes in the first few weeks it works particularly well. It doesn't work quite as well as time goes on, but a lovely way to kind of incorporate sort of sound when it comes to settling your baby right down. The next thing that I would say is movement, and that's something that goes without saying. So you might notice in your pregnancy, as you're kind of walking around, maybe you're in work and you're just having a busy lifestyle, you won't notice your baby kicking or moving all that much. And then as it comes to the evening time, when you're just putting your feet up maybe, or you're just climbing into bed, your baby starts to wake up. And that is because they have actually been rocked to sleep for the entire day, and now that you've stopped walking, they wake up. So naturally, when it comes to that movement in terms of settling them down again, you want to pick up that movement again to help them get themselves to sleep. So one of the techniques that I found particularly nice is actually like a two-step movement. So say, for instance, if you have your baby up like this, or if you have them in there, in that tiger in the tree posture, what you can do is do this two-step movement. So you're going to the side and you're going shh, shh, and to the side again, shh, shh. The light is doing all sorts of crazy things, but 2 steps, 2 bounces. And that has worked really, really beautifully. Something about that rhythm and the consistency of that movement has been really, really lovely. Paired with the shushing and the white noise, paired with the parent contact, is really, really beautiful for helping babies calm down and soothe themselves. You can also use this movement in a different way by having your baby in a carrier, so either a soft carrier like the Moby wrap or the Solly baby wrap. There are so many gorgeous different soft stretchy wraps on the market, and they're particularly lovely. I love them for newborns just because it's really literally creating that womb-like environment, but in a way that they're also getting the contact and the upright and the warmth and all of those lovely things. So baby carrying is awesome, or baby wearing. I actually have a tutorial that I'll link down below where I show you how I get my baby into a stretchy wrap. So I'll try and share that one in the bottom of this video. But as well as that, you can also just do things like going up and down the stairs. Obviously not if it's late at night and you're very, very tired, but the pacing can be really, really lovely. If you are maybe wanting to get out and about, sometimes it's the case if you've got a very upset baby, simply just getting outside of the house can be a really lovely change of scenery and help things make things a little bit more manageable for you. Just the fresh air and the sunshine or whatever it is can be really, really nice just to help you get a new look on things. But getting your baby out into the buggy and then going up and down a bumpy road can be a really nice way of just getting that movement in as well. So my next tip is actually bathing your baby. And this is something that I learned when I was working in the NICU, and we were working with babies who are actually very, very sad, but actually withdrawing from their parents having addictions and things like that. And those babies oftentimes, as you can imagine, come out really, really unsettled and really upset and really sore and feeling particularly miserable. And for those small babies, what helped them to just soothe down almost straight away was to get them into a really warm bath. Some of the tricks that I learned that I found particularly helpful were to use, actually I've got one here, to use a nice warm muslin over your baby. So if you're laying your baby into the bath, having the weight of something warm on them can be really nice. So you would literally warm up the muslin and lay it over their chest like that. And then you can just clean, or each body part at a time, or just helping them to feel reassured and literally coming back and immersing themselves in that womb-like environment. You can also do a few kind of little sneaky tricks in there, like by using that kind of on your front, similar to a tiger in a tree posture, putting that little bit of weight on their chest and tummy by having your baby come around all together and supporting them on their front. So this little part of them is coming up out of the water, but this part can be fully immersed in the warm water, or having that nice warm muslin over the top of them like that to help them feel nice and soothed and weightless but reassured at the same time. If you have got your baby at home with you, or you've just got like a full-size bath, you don't have a small baby bath, you can just do a bit of co-bathing, I call it, where you literally strip yourself off and get into the bath with your baby, have them on with you. You can be nursing them, feeding them, just doing that lovely time skin to skin can be really reassuring as well. And it's a nice way to kind of connect and bond with your baby. Daddies can do it too, or partners can do it too. You don't have to be the birthing parent for this one. But that's a lovely way to kind of connect and come back together, and that nice warm bath can be really, really lovely. The next thing, and the last tip that I have then, is baby massage. And while I am not a qualified baby massage instructor, I remember from my classes and from my doula training that there was one particular kind of sequence of baby massage that I found particularly helpful, and I've used several times with my own clients. It's been really, really nice, and that is the I love you sequence. So while I would love to demonstrate this with baby lying down all together. I'm going to invert this baby slightly just to show you. So you're actually going to be drawing first on the left hand side of your baby, so it's going to be the right hand side here, an I. So with 2 fingers, you want to use a little bit of like unscented oil, so it can be coconut oil, olive oil, whatever it is, or sunflower oil, something that is not a perfumed product for this, but you can also just use kind of whatever product you've been using that's working really nicely. So it's just for a bit of slip. It's a beautiful thing to do after a bath, but making sure that your baby's really settled and not all that long after a feed either, because you don't want it pushing. No, you wouldn't want someone pushing on your belly when you're really full. So 2 fingers drawing down to make the I. Then you're going to do an upside down L. So you're coming across for the L, and then an upside down U. Up like that. So we'll do it again together. I, drawing 2 fingers down, upside down L, going across and down, and U, like an arc up over your baby. So it's a really lovely kind of soothing way to help their digestion, and particularly if your baby is struggling with wind or just needs that little bit of contact and pressure on their bellies. Everybody loves a little bit of touch, and there's so much reassurance that comes with it, and settling and just helping your baby to kind of feel reassured by that touch. So those are my top tips for helping if you've got a really unsettled baby. My heart goes out to you, because it is not easy when all you want to do is help your baby to feel comfortable and calm. If you feel like there's other things underlying with your baby is unsettled, so for instance, if there's breastfeeding issues like oversupply, forceful letdown, maybe an insensitivity or an intolerance, do get in touch with your lactation consultant today, or touch base with me via my website that I will have linked down below. And I'm thinking of you, and I hope that it gets better sooner rather than later.